What good is a home when no one visits but the blues? I'll bar the windows and pray most shit won't find a way in. Unwelcome memories taking the life of their own, fresh and full of energy, mating and breeding inside of heads, giving birth to happy thoughts that nest on the ledge of a high rise. It's like being chased out of your body, following down misleading trails and falling in deep thought without a shovel to dig yourself out of, and I'll be the cemetery for questions unasked, eliminated for the lies, but nevertheless this month's issue was honesty. Finding me in the center of that playboy chats in the private matters and revealing the naked truth and hope. But in your question marks, your disputes with comments to follow. So shake me till you get the effect you desire by now. Counseling for the metaphor concept, guitar strings dangled above my note to the mission. Sipping on warm.
24 hours ago was yesterday. Joy riding in the front seat of a Land Rover by infidelity. Running over spirits, killing pregnant hopes, and maybe that's the reason why I don't smile much anymore. Too much in my plate to be absorbed, leaped into the tip of this hand, but I'm tired of writing like clocks no one knows exist. Rest these hands now and suggest you speak in numbers because your words never add up and you drown in a sea of hours from letters from unspoken words filling your lungs, and I'm choking on everything you didn't say.
Maybe I recycle the pages of your mental notes and place my resistance of the back burner like a blind man still in those good looks. And I've been robbed of tomorrow, but I'll get by with yesterday in my pocket and in the morning playing myself. I need to be staggered as high land handcuffed to that bed. What won't be unusual today? But I recycle the pages of your mental notes and place my resistance in the back burner like a blind man still in those good looks. And I've been robbed of tomorrow, but I'll get by with yesterday in my pocket and in the morning playing myself. I need to be staggered as high land handcuffed to that bed. What won't be unusual today? This world is polluted with your outline and echo, but outlive my capacity to the 24 hours without supplication to multiply the cells for the sun. Food me, believing I had a bright future was the war between my mind leads me to sleep again. Shake me. Awaken until you get the effect you desire. By now I'm counseling for the members of concept, guitar strings thinking about my note to the mission, sipping on that warm beer for a companionship like a song in love with itself. You can never mind that paper cuts and scars left with his hands trying to curse something that really doesn't exist, but cursing different with lies. But nevertheless this month issue was honestly you find me centerfold in that playboy touching the private matters and revealing the naked truth and hoping to question marks of the spirits with comments to follow. What does a humble never visits but the blues? Bar the windows, pray motion won't find a way in. Unwelcome memories were taking the life of their own, fresh and full of energy, mating and breeding inside of your head, giving a herb to have breed thoughts that nest in the ledge of a high rise. I've been chased out of my mind and following down the sleeping trails and falling in deep thought without a shovel to dig myself out of, and I'll be the cemetery for questions unasked. Liquidated for the lies, but nevertheless this month issue. Stop allowing it to master you, and you're controlling of the destiny and everything that you want to pursue. The execution of you not being exaggerated and exaggerated for the pleas and least, and not the apprehension for you, the confined comprehension for you to resonate into the reason, the I, the half reason.
Recycle pages in your mental notes and place my resistance with the back burning like a blind man stealing those good looks. And I've been robbed of tomorrow, but I'll get by with yesterday in my pocket and in the morning playing myself. I need to be staggered as high land handcuffed to that bed. What won't be unusual today? This world is polluted with your outline and echo, but outlive my capacity to the 24 hours without supplication to multiply the cells for the sun. Food me, believing I had a bright future was the war between my mind leads me to sleep again. Shake me. Awaken. You get the effect you desire. By now counseling for the members of concept, guitar strings thinking about my no to the mission, sipping on that warm beer for a companionship like a song in love with itself. You can never find a kid paper cuts and scars left with his hands trying to curse something that really doesn't exist, but curse different with lies. But nevertheless this month issue was honest. You find me centerfold in that playboy touching the private matters and revealing the naked truth and hoping to question marks of the spirits with comments to follow. What good is a home if no one visits but the blues? Bar the windows, pray motion won't find a way in. Unwelcome memories were taking the life of their own, fresh film of energy invading and breeding inside of your head, giving birth to have pre-thoughts that nest in the ledge of a high rise. I've been chased out of my mind and followed down misleading trails and falling in deep thought without a shovel to dig myself out of, and I'll be the cemetery for questions unasked. Dilapidated for the lies, but nevertheless this month's issue is this is the amount of time that it would take before you stop allowing it to master you, and you're controlling of the destiny and everything that you want to pursue, the execution of you not being exaggerated and exaggerated for the pleas and least, and not the apprehension for you, the comprehension for you, the resonation to the freezing, the eye, the half reason. I have a reason. Place is stripped, lifted inside of the mind, and mind is open with the eyes closed. In a place where you can find inside your imagination. This is a place where it will send you to your subliminal, or maybe the pigmentation, or maybe the original.
Maybe the outer side, the paper segments, a little too place. My resistance is the back burning like a blind.
Drift aimlessly around for you to be an orchard. The reminiscent of love and you, between you and losing you. And I think I used to go all day without the smile, but this without the things they're telling you when you hear that voice back. But then you can find the day that you could arrive for the damn how it was hard, about the next to be harder, for the not knowing, for the sinking, the feeling that it was going to be worse and it was going to be okay for the long time. Someone is not an occasion, but an event for this does not happen just once. It happens over again for you to lose, and every time for the pick it up and never can and you can find it whenever the plays and songs on the radio. But I would discover that reason to bottom for the melancholy did launch against the bottom of the pop with the lute again. Every time and I thinking of you and I holding you, wearing you, going to bed for the love of you, for the night wishing you could tell me about my day for the morning when I awake. Reach for the empty space that across the sheets and begin to lose all over again. How perfectly sad you can find that memory, that regret. That time it is irrelevant for when the two people have met. They once believed, but we met during the time that I was in such a mess, that I would still have such a mess to figure out. But I could not know how the crucial ever to work for the something you only for the finding of the grip with and showing of what was changing or the missing of me. But I wish I am reminiscent of that day, seen it together with the other arms around that, nothing further with the other thing in the mind, but never be for the and the same. It's not too late, it's never. Every time there's a home, it's built, but it won't last forever. I can't.
We both began drift aimlessly around for you to be an orchard. Reminiscent of love and you, between you and losing you. And I think I used to go all day without the smile, but this without the things I'm telling you when you hear that voice back. Again, find the day that you could arrive for the damn how it was hard, about you next to be harder, for the not knowing, for the sinking, the feeling that it was going to be worse and it was going to be okay for the long time. Someone is not an occasion, but an event for this does not happen just once. It happens over again for you to lose, and every time for the pick it up and every mug, and you can find it whenever the plays and songs on the radio. But I would discover that reason to bottom for the melancholy did launch against the bottom of the pop with the lute again. Every time and I thinking of you and I holding you, wearing you, going to bed for the love of you, for the night wishing you could tell me about my day for the morning when I awake. Reach for the empty space across the sheets and begin to lose all over again. How perfectly sad you can find that memory, that regret. That time is irrelevant for when the two people have met. Once believed, but we met during the time that I was in such a mess, that I was still had such a mess to figure out. But I could not know how to crucial ever to work with something only with the finding new regret with it, showing you what was changing, with the missing of me, what I wish. That day, seen it together with the arms around that, never further with the other thing, with the mind, but never be for the leaving. In the darkness that would take you over for the sickness that pull you in, for the eyes around, the kind of radio, but I would discover that old reason to bottom for the melancholy did laundry. Was the bottom of the pot with the blue ticket. Every time that I think of you and I hold both began to drift, aimlessly around, going to bed for loving you for the night, but you can tell me about my reminiscent of love and you between reaching for the
both began to drift aimlessly around for you.
Both began to drift aimlessly around for you. Both began to drift aimlessly around for you to be ignored. The reminiscent of love and you between you and losing you, and I think I used to go all day without the smile, but this without things and telling you to hear that voice back. Then you find the day that you could arrive as well. I was hard, but you next to be harder for the not knowing, for the sinking, the feeling that it was going to be worse, and it was going to be okay for a long time. Someone is not engaged in a buddy event, but it does not happen just once. It happens over again for you to lose, and every time for the picking up and never can move around, and we can find it whenever the place the songs on the radio, when I would discover that old reason to bottom for the melancholy did long. It's the bottom of the pop with the blue ticket. Every time that I think of you and I hold you. Where are you? Going to bed for loving you for the night, but you can tell me about my day for the morning when I don't wake. Reaching for the empty spaces across the sheets and begin to lose all over again. How perfect and sad you can find that regret. That time is irrelevant for when the two people have met. They once believed, but we met during the time that I was in such a mess that I was still had such a mess to figure out that I did not know how to lose you. It's something only to find out the regret with showing you the shame and missing it. Reminiscent of love and you between you and losing you, and I think I used to go all day without the smile, but this without the things and telling you, can you hear that voice back? Then you find the day that you could arrive for the damn. I was hard about the next to be harder for the not knowing, for the sinking, the feeling that it was going to be worse and it was going to be okay for the long time. Someone is not occasion, but an event for this does not happen just once. It happens over again for you to lose it every time for to pick it up and everything. You can find it whenever the place of songs on the radio, but I would discover that old reason to bottom for the melancholy did laundry. It's the bottom of the pot with the losing it. Every time that I think of you and I holding you. Where are you? Going to bed for the loving you for the night, wishing you could tell me about my day for the morning when I don't wake. Reaching for the empty spaces across the sheets and begin to lose all over again. How perfectly sad you can find that memory, that regret. That time is irrelevant for when the two people have met. They once believed, but we met during the time that I was in such a mess, that I was still had such a mess to figure out. But I could not know how the crucial ever to work with something only for the finding of the regret within the showing of what was changing with the missing of people. But I wish I am reminiscent of that day. I seen it the other with the other arms around that, nothing for the other saying to get the mind, for never be for the end leaving and the saving. In the darkness that would take over for the sickness that would pull you in, for the eyes that round, for the counter, for the wishing to go in. But sometimes you flicker for that light and shine. Hold them to the tightly until it's gone. You are within the light years. She has no desire to see the wonders of the world with landmarks and others to fly to. Have no spark for her interest. She prefers to live for her existence to the books and the introspection for the pictures and the songs. For these that have not deceived me, the tickets around for their own, for already the only to where we do traveling over the travel. Entire the universe with enough for the calamity, for the thoughts and the aching of the feeling. Though the love is carried her light years away back. There's no other person in the world who knows what will be said for these. The only one for these, the only one for the other, for anyone else who's up. Sometimes it's somewhere for the collision of the find the dust. Stars inside a brief exchange, feeling like what it was like to be the one of the better expanding into the world's world, the transcend to language and crossing at the boundaries for the life and the death. Moving beyond the time for the stretching of all eternity for the moment from tribal eyes. It used to be the definition of what you can find, an imitation for the terms that I can tell you for now. You were mistaken for the ultimate dictating. Divinity on the lips, and I can have the shooting inside my eyes, and there is no coming back from that for now, for not forever. You would know someone that it hurts, and you can have them for the loss of the sudden unexpected, for the perhaps it began for the losing of the pieces until one day there was nothing left for you to know for this, and all the life that you can barely know for them, for all, for either way, for the irrelevant that you cannot control the depth of the door. Nothing inflicts upon you for the which is the way that you can never find it on, for another day, for the only going for the shining, on for the plenty, for the vision to see, for the only telling you this and it's okay, for the hurting of what you are. But the feeling is not for the complete people, the validation for the what is necessary, for what will make you feel so much more, for the human, for not carrying compromise for the promise for the getting better with this. Sometimes too good felt like intelligent will, for the eventually for the now, for the taking of the time, for all you can find the needs. You must be loving you for the check-ins and an understanding of you as a soundtrack for what you are, who you once was, told you that you were deliberate, so how you spoke to him like pure poetry. It was the real for the imagination, for the just noticing of the haunting of the eyes there, for the drawing to, for the ways with the melody to draw the crowd to the dance floor, for the putting of inevitable streams. Invisible enough you can wonder where the ghost goes. I am nowhere for the somewhere, for the drifting for between the love notes. I'm here for the I and the hope, for the hope to whoever the plays that song, and I'm there for the whispering inside that ear. Both began drifting. Both began drifting aimlessly around for you to be ignored you. The reminiscent of love between you and losing you. And I think I used to go all day without the smile, but this without the things of telling you to hear that voice back. Then you find the day that you could arrive for the damn. How it was hard about me next to be harder for the not knowing, for the sinking the feeling that it was going to be worse and it was going to be okay for the long time. Someone is not engaged in a wedding event, it does not happen just once. It happens over again for you to lose and every time for the pick it up and never you can find it whenever the plays the songs on the radio. But I would discover that reason to bottom for the melancholy did lingerie, the bottom of the pop with the losing it. Every time and I think never you and I holding you. Where do you? Where are you? Going to bed for the love of you, for the night wishing you could tell me about my day for the morning when I don't wake. Reaching for the empty space across the sheets and begin to lose all over again. How perfectly sad. Find that memory, that regret, that time is irrelevant for when the two people had met. They once believed, but we met during the time that I was in such a mess that I was still had such a mess to figure out, but I could not know how to push whatever you work for the something you only for the fun of the regret, but showing us what was changing for the missing of you, but I wish. It has not to see many cities around for their own, for the already known, the river to travel and over the travel. The time the universe went enough for the colliding with the thoughts and the aching and the feeling. Though the love is carried her light years away back. There is no other person in the world who knows what will be said for these. The only one for these, the only never could be open for anyone else except for the sometime and somewhere for the collision of feeling you can find the destined stars inside of me for exchange for the feeling of like it was like the leaving order for the barely explaining of the words for it to transcend the two languages and cross together boundaries for the life and the death. Moving beyond the time for the stretching of all eternity for the wrong, for the travel lives of this definition for the word you can line, the limitation for the terms that I can tell you for now. You are mistaken for the alter mutated divinity on the lips, and I can have the scene of inside the eyes. There is no coming back from that, for now, for not forever. You would know someone that it hurts and you can have him for the loss of the sudden you might expect it for the perhaps it began for the losing of the pieces until one day there was nothing left that you couldn't know for this and all the life that you may barely know for them, for all, for either way, for the irrelevance, for you cannot control the depth of the world. And nothing afflicts upon you for the witches, the way that you can never find it tomorrow, for another day, for the only going for the shiny, on for the plenty, for the fish in the sea, for the only telling you this and it's okay for the hurting of what you are. But the feeling is not for the completely, but the validation for the what is necessary, for what will make you, for so much more, for the human, for not getting compromise for the rain. Promise for the getting better with us. Sometimes Tuesday you can feel the intelligent will, for the conviction, for the night, for the taking of the time, for all you can find the needs. You must be loving you for patience, you will have for the waiting, for you to have to check in, simply understanding of you as a soundtrack for what you are, for you once was, told you that you were deliberate, so how you spoke to him like pure poetry. It was the real for the imagination, for the was noticing of the haunting of the eyes there, for the drawing to, for the ways with the melody can draw the crowd to the dance floor, for the pulling of inevitable streams. Invincible enough that you can wonder where the ghost goes. I am nowhere for the somewhere, for the drifting for between the love notes. I'm here for the I and the hope, for the hope to whoever plays that song, and I'm there for the whispering inside that ear. We both began drift aimlessly around for you to be ignored you. The reminiscent of we both began drift aimlessly around for you to be ignored you. The reminiscent of love and you between you and losing you. And I think I used to go all day without the smile, but this without the things and telling you to hear that voice back. Then you can find the day that you would arrive for the damn. How it was hard for about the next to be harder, for the not knowing, for the sinking the feeling that it was going to be worse and it was going to be okay for the long time. Someone is not occasion and but an event for this does not happen just once. It happens over again for you to lose and every time for the pick it up and never can mug. And you can find it whenever the plays and songs on the radio. When I would discover that reason to bottom for the melancholy did launch against the bottom of the pop with the losing it. Every time that I think of never you and I holding you. Where do you? Where are you? Going to bed for the love of you, for the night wishing you could tell me about my day for the morning when I don't wake. Reach for the empty space across the sheets and begin to lose all over again how perfectly sad you can find that memory. that regret. That time is irrelevant for when the two people have met. They once believed. But we met during the time that I was in such a mess, that I was still had such a mess to figure out. But I could not know how the crucial ever to work for the something and only for the finding of the river, the showing of what was changing, with the missing of me, what I wish. I am reminiscent of that day. I've seen it the other with the other arms around that, nothing for the other saying to get the mind for never be for the end leaving. And the savior. In the darkness that would take it over for the sickness that pull you in, for the eyes to the brown, for the candle, for the wishing to go in, but sometimes you can flicker for that light for the shine. Hold them to the tightly until it's gone. You are within the light years. She has no desire to see the wonders of the world with the landmarks and others to flock to. Have no spark for her interest, and she prefers to live for her existence through the books and the introspection for the pictures and the songs. For these it has not to see many cities around for their own, for all already to own it, to where they're traveling over the traffic. Entire the universe with enough for the calamity, for the thoughts and the aching of the feeling. Though the love has carried her light years away back. There is no other person in the world who knows what was said. For these, the only one for these, and only never could be open for anyone else except for the sometime and somewhere for the collision, and for the you can find the destined stars inside a brief exchange for the feeling of like what it was like to be the mortal, for the barely expanding it into words for it to transcend the two language and the crossing of the boundaries for the life of the death, moving beyond the time for the stretching of all eternity for the travel lives, and these are to be the definition of the what you can line, an invitation for the terms that I can tell you for now.